Hey guys, my name is Hap, and this is the Jagdpanther II. I know this took a little while, but I was kind of busy, so I'm gonna have to use my forum article on most of the beginning stuff, as I don't really have the time to make a really proper video. I'm saving that up for the M4A1 Rev. So after a bit more time, we are back in the Emporium of Hap's somewhat monthly escapades with this time the Jagdpanther II. I didn't play it for a very long time, but seeing it's still as good as I remember, it makes me smile. We're gonna, of course, talk about the usual stuff first, the gun armor and mobility. So let's talk about the gun first. The gun is possibly the best part of this tank, 246mm of pen on AP. While it may not be the best for TDs in this tier, it is more than enough to punch through just about any opposition. 311mm of APCR pen are more than enough to punch through everything you might meet. And those 65mm of HV pen will be useful if you wanna splash something for 600. The biggest point of this gun, in my opinion, is the alpha. 460 alpha isn't common in this tier, only the ISC 130, Scorpion G, Bolsig and the VK 100 with the Mauerbrecher have such a gun. Maybe there's more, who knows? This, coupled with a 9.1 seconds reload, with my setup brings us to 3000 DPM, that's a very tasty number. The gun also has a few drawbacks. First, the velocity ain't all that great, which is why I use supercharge instead. That makes it easier for me to hit tanks at a distance. The aiming arc isn't that great either, 10 degrees on each side, which is thankfully still not terrible and makes running a camo net on this thing pretty worth it. The aim time is not too good either, but it could be much worse. Coupled with the good dispersion of this tank, you'll have a very stable gun platform. The gun depression is also quite funky, it's 6.5 degrees, that's right, not 6 or 7, but 6.5. That makes it quite an interesting number, as it really feels as if it had 7. If it had more gun depression, it would be definitely broken, as the next part shows. The armor may remind you of the Jagdtiger, which also has similar rules with the armor profile a tier above. You have a fighting compartment placed in the rear and it's severely angled. It's almost hilarious how strong it really is. It has about 275mm of effective armor, and when you use that gun depression, it goes to about 350. That's not something a tank can pen at this tier, hardly at tier 10. If it had 10 degrees, you could park it behind a ridge and you'd be unstoppable, which is why it probably has this funky number and not 10 degrees of gun depression. The front compartment is a whole different story because quite frankly, it's garbage. The front of it has about 150mm of armor, which won't save you, and the lower plate is only 115mm, which is just terrible. So the rules of the armor are to keep the lower superstructure hidden at all times and you'll be grand. I also forgot to mention that the rear armor is actually pennable by HE by a lot of tanks, so if you somehow get flanked, then you have to really take care of that. And for the fact that this isn't a very light tank destroyer, it moves very well. 55 km per hour as a top speed is very respectable, and while the 12 km per hour of reverse speed won't save you, it's enough. The traverse is also quite decent at 52 degrees. In total, I highly recommend this tank to any seasoned player that doesn't have a Jagdtiger, as this is a really nice tank. Hide the hull, don't expose the weak sides, and you'll have a very fun time. It's also very flexible and the gun sings really well. This is also by far my favorite tier 8 tank destroyer. The Bolsig doesn't have that mobility I need, and I don't have the Scorpion in return, so if you don't have a lot of money like me, then this is a nice tank to have. I'd also say to keep it and the Jagdtiger, as both of these tanks are really great at what they do. Now, for equipment, I believe I run the gunner hammer, improved modules, the camo net. Then I run the supercharge. I then run improved armor, as I kind of want the upper structure to be that tiny bit stronger, but improved assembly is also a very respectable choice. And then I also run the engine accelerator, as your traverse is already good enough. Then I run the vertical stabilizer, and then I think I also run the toolbox and consumable delivery system. Sorry, I have a bit of a cold. Next up we're gonna see 2 of my replays, and well, I guess you can see for yourself just how much carnage this thing can really do. Alright, new bay, I suppose. I suppose this is a fairly old replay, so I have really no idea what to expect here, so I'm gonna be coming in this blind. Supremacy mode, I also kind of forgot why I had Supremacy on. I was probably trying to collect some extra experience, I suppose. I also have the diamond camo from reaching the Platinum League last season, so don't worry about that. I wasn't trying to grind diamond again. I honestly don't have the patience for that, as the teams in the ratings are varying pretty wildly. Let's see. I first thought of coming to the bridge, and then I kind of did that. But then our light tanks spotted something, and I thought, what if I could hit this? And so I did. This is a pretty quick way to show just how much the gun can sing, I suppose. I thought that the Centurion would be in pretty big trouble, so I of course would come help him, but I thought that the CDC would move out and I could have another extra shot, but he didn't do that. I could have probably loaded HE in here, but I decided to load AP and just be sure. So that's kind of on me, I suppose. And he's already dead. This is also a really short battle, by the way, and it just shows just how much damage this thing can cause. It's almost ridiculous. So now we capture a base to just try and guarantee us some kind of a chance, just in case the enemy team decides to fight back. Now, the Tiger P will see a bit of him later, in like a minute or two, but for now we're gonna try and hit him so that the SU-12244 doesn't pointlessly die against him. Just like, get out of the way a bit. Sorry. I have a bit of a cold, so it's kind of difficult for me to focus right now. And here comes the super pushing. Now here I thought I was kind of screwed, so I tried nudging around a bit. And oh god, this took so much time. Like, Jesus. Bam. And he's already screwed because he's focusing on the SU instead of me. So there we go. Now, I don't know what's wrong with the frames here. Sometimes it recorded fine, but I think that's just Vegas doing its thing. And then again, I probably had pretty bad encoding. Now, there was one hit that prevented me from getting an ace tanker in the Jagdpanther, basically. That wasn't this. That was the final shot that I fired. Now, what you really have to remember is that superstructure. If you look at the lower superstructure, you can really see just how big of a weak spot that is. So, if you hide it, they'll only have the much harder upper structure to penetrate, which is pretty important in my opinion. Now, we've ended at almost 4,000 damage here. Just watch this shot. I should have loaded APCR. Yeah, bounce. Okay, so almost 4,000 damage, first class, not bad at all. That was a very quick battle, because I played the tank destroyer quite aggressively. Actually, that's really how I would recommend this if you're also a raging lunatic like me. So anyway, let's go to the second battle. Right, Himmelsdorf. Now, I was looking for this battle for a little moment because I didn't really know that this was actually it. If the in-game audio is still kind of loud, I'm sorry. And I was a bit salty during this battle because I was really upset at the teams during that day, so please forgive my language in advance. Now, the video has been also really loud and I tried to lower the gain, but if it's still really loud, then there's nothing I can do about that. Maybe I'll try to increase the gain on my voice in this part. So, here I try to immediately find a nice place where I could hide the lower superstructure, and I think I found it. I also have quite the amount of problems with the EXP. I lost 3k brain cells. That's kinda how I felt during that day. Okay, bounce. But here you can see that the EXP also bounced. Like, the upper superstructure is very strong. I'm trying to make some really powerful points here about the tank, but they're just not coming to my head, so you're gonna have to remember these 3 things that I've totaled in your head. So, 1, keep the lower superstructure hidden at all costs. 2, take your time aiming. The chance of them penning your superstructure are ridiculously low. And 3, if you can fire a HE, fire it. If you can't, don't. Did you see that? 678 into a bullsick. That's just wonderful. That's perfectly grand. So he's now a one-shot. Bam. Even the Tiger II would have issues trying to go through me. Now, I exposed myself a bit here, because I still had to deal with this VK. Max roll, that's really nasty. Tier 7 mediums are especially gonna have a really big problem dealing with you, as you have quite an amazing gun, quite great mobility, and quite great armor. In fact, if it had more gun depression or more hull armor, I would definitely say that it's overpowered, but hey, it isn't. It's actually kind of balanced. If you have a professional player doing this stuff, then yeah, it's probably not very well balanced. But I'm not a professional player, because I'm an idiot. Yeah, I just don't. I really still don't know how to play a lot of tanks particularly well. Now, this is a place where I mess up, I lose my life, and quite frankly, if the SU had helped me a little bit, I would probably still be alive, so naturally I am upset at him. But, yeah. This was entirely my fault. I just forgot how strong the upper plate on the Tiger II is. So, yeah, I'm dead. There's nothing I can do about that. But it looks like we're gonna win this regardless. So, I believe that's all I can really tell you about the Jagdpanther. Sorry that this video is quite rushed, but hey, I kind of gotta fill my schedule despite the low quality of my videos sometimes. So I hope you gained some kind of knowledge on how to play the Jagdpanther II properly from this video, because I don't really feel like I've made you learn something. Anyways, that is probably gonna be it for me. My name is Hab. If you somehow like this video, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share, whatever. I also have a PayPal in the description if you want to donate some money to my cause and just make me buy some tanks that you really want to be reviewed. Anyways, that's gonna be it from me, and see you guys.